It's thought we could be just days away from the announcement of a new governor of the Bank of Israel, following 3 months of a leaderless central bank. Talking through what this could mean for the Israeli shekel, this week fighting back against a strong US dollar, is Tatha Ghose, senior EM economist at Commerzbank. Tatha, candidates for the role include Professor Mario Blejer, Victor Medina and Professor Zvi Eckstein. But for you, who is the frontrunner?
We think Professor Blejer is the frontrunner. With his massive experience at the IMF for 21 years and in Argentina. Not that we expect Israel to become Argentina at any stage, but the sort of movement of global capital, which is proving to be quite key, both for the economy and for the shekel exchange rate. The central banks fighting against that big wave. And Professor Blejer obviously has a lot of experience dealing with a range of, even capital controls and other big defaults and, global instability. And he would be quite equipped to deal with that situation as we transition from low interest rates to high interest rates in the global economy, which is always dangerous for EM.
Similarly, Tatha, with the BOI without permanent leadership for 3 months and a government only 6 months into its administration, what sort of economy do you think the new governor will be inheriting?
Yes, first of all, we really like how the acting governor, Flug, has handled the central bank in the interim. So whether there's obviously been a lot of media talk about why there is no leadership, but as we saw with the last MPC meeting, she cut rates. The shekel was strengthening really outside its, central bank's expectation range. It wasn't de facto such a period without leadership. And, as the outgoing governor, Stan Fischer, had, said a couple of times, Dr. Flug would have been a very good candidate herself for the permanent job. Anyway, in terms of what economy the new governor will inherit, luckily we have a situation where the U.S. economy, once this certain debt ceiling issue is put to bed, is showing very strong underlying corporate profitability, incentives to invest, things like that. This is what the Israel economy is actually geared towards. Now, the IT imports from U.S. has not really picked up in the last few months, and the latest data point, therefore, for exports was really weak out of Israel. I don't know why people are viewing this so much as a function of the strong shekel. It's not, because the month before that was going much stronger, and shekel was still in the same range. It's about the turbulence that has happened in the global economy since, I would say. If you look at the Israeli unemployment rate, the sharp downtrend in that tells you that the economy suffered a shallow downturn in the last year, and now it's coming out of it without, the development of too much of an output gap, which will weaken the economy over the next year. So we see, just like in Poland, in Israel, that the economy suffered a shallow downturn and now it's pulling out of it. Employment, labor market, wages are probably going to do quite well going forward. And in that sense, we aren't too worried about, the adverse impact of the strong shekel at the moment, although obviously the central bank has got to do its job on that front.
You mentioned there the Israeli shekel, which has previously been referred to as a conflict currency, a barometer of Middle East tension. But with the shekel making gains this week, bucking US dollar's global strength, are we seeing a new phase for the currency?
We do not view the shekel as a barometer of tension. Obviously, in the very short term, it does. But if you were to index all the regional currencies to 100 in, let's say, 2007, you would see a steady outperformance of the shekel, followed by, let's say, the Czech crown, which would come in at number 2. These higher quality economies with, more recognized policy frameworks, less imbalances, good banking sectors. These economies outperform in the longer term, whether or not there's turbulence or volatility created by global events. And the fact that we are seeing this now in the shekel is just a reflection that there is still lack of confidence in other EMs, given what we saw in August. Whereas we did not see the same problem with Israel. It acted more as a safe haven during that period, and it is doing so now again that we have this debt ceiling blow-up possibility in the U.S. So no, we don't see this as a structural break of any kind.
An inflow of capital to Israel's economy is also thought to have contributed to the appreciation of the shekel. With the IMF's forecast last week that Israel's economy could outpace all other Western economies, how does this bode for FDI into Israel and subsequently your currency outlook?
Yes, we expect the shekel, irrespective of what the BOI tries to do, we expect it to go towards 3.5 by year end. We don't see the bank being able to really weaken the shekel against its broad outperformance trend, which is intact at a multi-year level, and capital inflows is, of course, one of the main reasons. This year, we have additional problems on the natural gas production and the receipts from there. And Bank of Israel has a $3.5 billion intervention package next year to take care of some of these, sort of extraordinary, sources of inflow. But in general, the tendency for the world to invest in Israel as the cycle turns upwards. We've just seen Samsung, for example, who's going to invest in a venture fund in Israel and finally, also invest money through a sovereign wealth fund into Israel. You can't get out of this. Israel has one of the most dynamic corporate sectors anywhere in EM. Huge breadth, huge intellectual property being held there. And there is a certain sense in which the business models of these corporates is underwritten by the U.S. end consumer, both in pharmaceuticals and in IT. They're working very closely with the U.S. Entrepreneurs. We don't see that trend being, dislocated. If anything, it's going to pick up going forward. So that's why, we think that the strong shekel has been an issue because growth was slow in Israel so far. But when it picks up, the central bank will probably just have to, digest the strong shekel. It's not going away.
Tatha, many thanks for your comments. Are you considering the shekel in your trades? Hop over to the Dukascopy Facebook page and let us know. From me, though, it's goodbye for now.